Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is over his head. We've been saying this so long, haven't we? This string of derailments now after the airline disaster. I don't know what it takes. I think the word derailment, it's almost a metaphor for Buttigieg right now. Here's what bothers me about it. Obama tried to solve this problem. He knew that we were a century behind in technology dealing with braking systems on trains. So he said, let's put this in place. And he had it working. And then Trump comes in, does away with it. But 5 years later, almost 5 years later, Buttigieg has done nothing. He's done nothing, even though the previous administration laid out what the problem was and said, this is a big problem.
And 3 or 4 days after that big derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, he goes on cable news. They talk to him. They do a whole interview with him. Not once do they mention that train derailment. Not once did they mention the big toxic cloud over that city. And this was days after it happened. He had not yet made a public statement about it. And that was actually The Nation did a phenomenal article talking about how this guy doesn't get it. He had to be forced publicly and shamed into finally even addressing that this thing happened.
Why is the media and why is the Democratic Party protecting him? I mean, is it, if the first thought you have, well, he's gay. Nobody wants to attack him because he's gay. The truth is, there are hundreds of gay politicians and people in bureaucracy that could do this job very competently. So it's not that. I mean, you have to call it out what it is. You can't just get hung up on the fact that he's gay. Well, he's gay, okay? Big deal. There are plenty of gay people that would do a fantastic job with what he's doing. But it's like non-speak that you hear the politicians. It's non-speak that the media is just so afraid to talk about this. He's an incompetent boob. He needs to be gone, man.
Well, it reminds me a lot, when we would criticize Hillary Clinton whenever she did something wrong, people would say, well, you're being sexist.
Yeah.
It says, no, well, you're ignoring the actual argument here.
Yeah.
But what we have seen in just the last 12 months, forget the last 24 months that he's been in office, the last 12 months, we have seen them break up the rail worker strike. That part of it was about this issue.
Good point.
We have seen the massive meltdown in the entire airline industry over Christmas and Thanksgiving.
With this administration.
With him as transportation. We saw the supply chain fiasco. That's all under his leadership. He may not have caused the problems, and I've said that. He didn't cause the problems, but he is not equipped. He does not have the wherewithal to address these crises, these multiple crises that his office has faced. If this were somebody from the Trump administration, we would have been doing segments on it every day.
Absolutely.
Everybody in the left would have calling for his resignation. And I think we should be at that point. He can't do the job.
So what we hear is, it's the CEOs of the companies. The CEOs of the airline company, the CEOs of the rail company. No, it's his job to make sure they do their job. He's been here for more than 4 years now, and it just is not happening. It's just not happening. Here's the problem. The problem, I said 4 years. It's not accurate. It's three and a half years. So, but the point being, he was here. Here's what I was trying to get to. He was here when we had a Democratic House, Democratic Senate, Democratic president, and he had already been told by a Democratic president, Obama.
Well, and Merkley in the Senate said him.
Right. He had been told this is a problem. So deal with it. Don't go on vacation or wherever the hell he disappears to. Deal with it. I just think they need to get rid of him. I just think he's a disaster. And it's like, I'm tired of hearing, gee whiz, it's not his fault, it's the CEO's company. That is a ridiculous argument when you consider that his job is to regulate.
Well, and look, the CEOs, their hands are not clean, but we talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
We're well aware of that. Trump, he repealed the Obama-era rule, which was already not very good.
It was at least in the right direction.
It was,
Farron.
which was a lot what we saw under Obama. It wasn't quite where it should have been, but it was a good step forward.
Yeah, he was trying. We had a president who was trying to fix the problem.
But we had, during the early years, we had so many train derailments that they started to refer to them as bomb trains.
Yeah.
There was a great reporter that I worked with at the Smog blog, Justin Makolka. He was writing about train derailments and explosions nearly every day. And that's why Obama finally put that rule in place, because we knew how dangerous they were. We're using the braking system that we used during the Civil War.
Yeah.
I mean, same system.
And they have a replacement that's used all over the world. They use it in Asia. They use it in Europe. It's an electric pneumatic system. Isn't that kind of how you describe it?
Yeah,
It's
that brakes all the cars at once.
Right. It's electric pneumatic. The industry knows about it. They know how to make the adjustments and put it on ours. It's used, as I say, all over the world, except here. And this numbnut has been here, let me correct it again, only 3 years, not 4 or 5, like I said.
And that's the big issue. You can spread the blame if you want to say the CEOs. We know what they did. We know what Trump did.
Dirty operators.
But he also knew what they did, knows what they do. He could have solved this problem. He could have put it in motion to get back to where we had been under Obama. He failed to do it. He failed to take action on the airliners. He let them do what they're doing. Failed us on the supply chain, just failures across the board. There's not a single accomplishment this man has done.
Why is corporate media giving him a free ride? In your opinion, why? I'm interested to know. Am I just so far off on the fact I just think they're afraid to criticize him because he's gay?
I think they're afraid to criticize him because they think he's going to be the 2024 Democratic nominee.
Oh, good Lord. Let's hope not for the Democrats, because I'd love to see some Democrats win. The FBI has a new way of getting their hands on personal data without having to go through the court system. Instead of getting warrants, they're simply buying your data from companies that are already tracking you every move you make. There's no privacy, okay? But I think at this point, society has gotten to the point where I'm okay with that. You know my opinion. People don't care about it. I think they don't care that Big Brother is tracking them. Maybe that's just maybe that was a 60s and 70s thing. Maybe it was only boomers who really cared about the fact that that people were tracking them. I say that, but then I see the Generation Z, they're kind of responding to some of this.
Yeah, Z, the younger folks
It's
definitely.
that in between that I wonder about.
Yeah, the millennials and the Xers, they just, nothing matters.
No big deal.
But this is so funny, especially when we pair this to the FTC. Musk, did you violate user service data? And then the FBI saying, well, we're just buying it. We're the ones actually taking your data.
Yeah.
And we don't even have to go through the courts anymore because that was too exhaustive. It cost us too much money. So instead, we take that money and we go to Twitter or we go to Facebook and Google and we say, hey, we want to buy the location data, just like advertisers do. They buy our data from these companies, and the FBI thought, well, that's an easier way. We don't have to go to court and justify why we need this person's data.
They have to get around it. You see, Carpenter versus the U.S. is a Supreme Court decision. And in that decision, the Supreme Court said, hell no. You can't just follow data. If you follow data, it's just like it's without a warrant. We're not going to let you do that. So the CIA, FBI says, well, we don't even have to do that. We're just going to go to Facebook and Twitter, and we're going to buy all of it. If we want to know where you are at any given moment, it's easy to do. We can do it without a warrant. And apparently, the Supreme Court's going to have to deal with this at some point. But based on the decision in Carpenter, I don't know it's going to go all that well.
Well, and it's very terrifying, too, for the people who think, oh, it doesn't matter if they have my data. I'm doing nothing wrong. Okay, but what happens when your data shows that you were in a location where they just found a body?
Yeah.
They just had a robbery.
Yeah.
Suddenly, the FBI bought your data and said, well, wait a minute, we can link up Mr. Smith here to this building.
It was in the room next door.
And then it does create a world of problems for you.